Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Don't forget, if you like the video, click on like and subscribe and talk about it on chat lines, wherever it is your social media activities, and help us to grow and help more people. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so let's go to the first question we had. Male Cyprus 18. How can you deal with overthinking and catastrophizing? Look, overthinking has many different roots. We'll talk about one here. Most overthinkings start from the need for psychological security. You want to be safe physically and psychologically about your future, about your parents, about your loved ones, about your business, about your studies, about your exams. You want things to go well. And yet you have no power to make sure that everything will be fine. A world and a life history that has created doubts in our minds that will we be okay? Will everything go well? So many challenges, so many things from the left field attack us, happenings in life. For that, you try to create a certain kind of a mechanism to bring back that assurance, that psychological security. So in order to protect yourself, you go try to overthink by considering every tangent of some event or some happening or some idea. These are all naturally, every human being does that. Just want to make sure everything goes well. The problem is that the brain doesn't know the difference between virtuality and actuality. So when a thought comes to your mind, and it could be intrusive, it could be negative, it could be something worrisome, something about, I don't know, your parents' health or some project or some exam or some date you want to make it go well and all that. That negative, intrusive thought that starts, you go in the brain and try to come up with different scenarios, how to combat that, how to deal with that. And you go deeper and deeper and you find different tangents and different possibilities and different remedies, and you consider all that. For a second, you may feel comfortable as your reactions to that intrusive thought or negative thoughts have been enough to assure you that everything will be okay. But because this is all virtual, there is no actuality to this negative thought. There is no real basis to this negative thought. It's only out of necessity for psychological security. You're trying to create a secure environment for your thoughts, for your brain. So to reduce worrisome, you're doing that. But there is no actuality in real life that is attacking you, or there is no issues as such as the intrusive thought or the negative thoughts that has showed up in your head. So what happens here? You've come up with all these tangents and remedies and you feel okay, but suddenly you're not. You think you got to continue. Why is that? That's why you go repetitive thoughts, continuously overthink. Even though you finished all the tangents of that chapter of thinking and you're satisfied that things will be okay momentarily, but a second later or immediately, you still feel it's not enough. Why? And that's what causes you to overthink, continue overthinking, because you didn't get the result to stay. It's like vaporizes. And that is very simple to understand, because the brain doesn't understand the difference between virtuality and actuality. So whatever you're doing about something that doesn't exist, that is just a virtual thinking. It has no real effect on anything actual, because there is nothing actual. It's a thought. So you keep coming up with remedies, but because this is just a thought, there is no actual result of applying your remedies to see that your remedies have worked and the situation is resolved, so you don't have to continue looking for remedy. It's all done and good. Since you cannot see that because it's not actual in real life and it's only virtual, your remedies does not do anything that signifies to you that the problem is solved, because the whole thing doesn't exist. You're coming up with remedies for something that doesn't exist, yet virtually the brain believes that it exists. So you constantly think you got to solve something which actually doesn't exist in reality. That's why whatever remedy you come up with is still not enough. Why? Because you come up with the remedies for something that doesn't exist. It's only virtual. And so you can't see the result of your remedy. So you're not convinced that the remedy has worked. So you continuously come up with other remedies and other remedies and other remedies and overthinking and other thoughts. And still it never ends. Why? Because you're solving something that doesn't exist. So in order to stop this is not to continuously coming up with remedy for an intrusive thought or for a thought that is negative or overthinking about something, is to recognize that the thought doesn't exist in reality. It's a virtual thing, and the virtual thing can never harm you. So you just drop it. It's like somebody throws a virtual, invisible, fictitious egg to you and says, catch. And right away you believe it because it's something thrown and it's called egg is coming. You're not waiting to see if it's true or not. You'll just go to reaction and you try to catch. And supposedly you think, I caught it. But then it's like not recognizing that there's nothing here and keep holding it as if there is something. When a thought shows up that is negative and you're overthinking of it, instead of continuously going through to solve it, and when it doesn't, you keep going for the overthinking, you got to focus that this is not real. I shouldn't do anything about it. I don't need to solve it. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to worry about it because it's virtual. It's a non-existent condition that is created in my brain. And since the brain cannot recognize the difference between virtuality and actuality, and whatever it conjures up, it has the power to make the body to react to it. And the reaction of the body to this virtual thinking that doesn't exist, make it to become an evidence for you that the actual thought is true. Let me explain. Let's say you think there is a tiger about to attack you. You do this. Since your body reacted to a virtual thought, to an imaginary danger that the brain had created, or a mistake has happened, you eluded, you under a certain kind of a situation, you thought, you imagined something that doesn't exist by your brain, but the brain does trigger the mechanisms of the body to protect you. So you react to that non-existing condition that the brain just suggested. But that reaction of your body becomes an evidence to you that that suggestion of the brain is actually true, even though it's not. Why? Because you say, my body reacted to it. But you quickly got to go over that and say, look, even though my body reacted, it's not something real. It reacted because it's designed to react in case there's a danger, and it's not going to wait to see the danger being true to react. It saves me first and then wonders if it was true or not. It doesn't care. But first reacts. That reaction of a thought that the brain creates should not be an evidence to you that the thought to begin with, which doesn't exist, was an actual thing. So for that reason, you will stop continuing the overthinking because you know it's just a virtual, elusive thinking. There's nothing real about it. That's where you can stop overthinking, by focusing that this is a thought. It's not going to harm me. It's not real. And it's not going to do anything to me. And I need not do anything to it because it's all fictitious. But the brain cannot tell the difference that this is fictitious. It takes everything seriously. That's why we have mental difficulties and challenges, because what shows up in our brain to us is real, because that whatever shows up in our brain makes the body react in a certain way. And that certain way of reaction makes us think that the thought is actually an actual thing, not an elusive virtual thing. So by focusing, that will allow you to stop the thinking, stop finding a solution, stop finding a remedy, stop going through the tangents and figuring out what can I do to debunk or defeat or countermeasure this thought that is a danger to me, that is a negative, or catastrophizing, as you mentioned it here. So believing in the thought that it's giving birth to catastrophe, believing to a thought is the problem. Don't believe the thought that shows up. Ask for evidence. And the evidence is not the reaction of the body to the thought, because the body reacts because the brain has such a power to make body react without you really thinking about it. That's your protection mechanism. So, and when you keep doing this, it goes beyond your judgment and it becomes attached to the habit center, to the point that the brain no longer is capable to recognize this is a habit rather than something you have to react to. It reacts without considering what it is. So the habit center and the brain thought becomes one, and it just functions as one mechanism, one behavior. So you need to reinforce to yourself that this has become my habit to continue overthinking, thinking that overthinking will remedy the negative behavior or negative effects of the overthinking or these negative thoughts on me, on my day, on my mood. And I'm trying to bring a psychological security against something that I think is danger, but it actually doesn't exist because it's a thought. Focusing on the fact that this is a thought, not actuality, will help you to drop this whole business of overthinking to solve something. Why do you overthink? You overthink to solve something, to remedy, to save yourself, to stop it from happening because it's a negative thing. But instead of doing any of that, recognize that this is a thought. It has no danger to me. It cannot do anything to me. Because if it had that power, then I would think something good. I would think to have a Maserati. I would think to have $1 million in the bank. It should happen, because if a thought has such a power that makes some idea to work and come to be real, then I should be able to think hamburger and I should have it right here. But I don't, no matter how much. But when it's a thought of snake may show up, suddenly my amygdala goes into work and tries to protect me, and I don't care about if it's true or not. Just the fact that the idea is in my head, I got to get that idea away because I'm afraid of the idea. Don't believe the idea. Idea is nothing. It's a thought. It's virtual. It's not actual. So recognizing the virtuality and actuality and difference between them will save you from going through the labyrinths of creating all these overthinkings and tangents and remedies and so on and so forth, trying to solve something. I think I have a video on this topic. Let's see, overthinking. What is overthinking and how to stop it? All right, that's not bad. How to overcome overthinking, how to be in control. That's 45 minutes. That's too long. This another one is 5 minutes and so on. I'm going to put that in here. I don't know what I've said in there because it's been a long time ago, but I put the link here for you. You might want to watch that. And I will cut this bit that I just talked about as a separate video, and perhaps that would be helpful as well. So let me know if this was helpful to you. And another thing about these negative thoughts is that you think, if you think of a negative thought, go to the limits of possibilities of such trail of thoughts, then it won't happen. If something bad is threatening you or your family, or a thought has shown up, and you think if you think about it thoroughly, as far as it goes and as bad as it can get, and imagine all those, you think it will not happen because you thought of it. Basically, you're creating something negative in order to avoid something negative in reality happen. That's a mental belief, but it's nothing real about it. So the best thing is to recognize that this is a negative thought. It's a thought to begin with, and it can have no effect on me whatsoever, because I, and only I, you, every one of you, are the only one in this world that can allow any thought ever becomes a reality and actuality. Otherwise, thought on its own by itself can never become anything. Doesn't matter what the content, it's all irrelevant. As long as you don't believe it, that it's an actuality, because it's not, that's the truth, that's a fact, then it will not bother you. But because of your mechanism to protect yourself and keep all the evils and all the bullshit away, all the negatives away, you rise up to solve an idea that was uttered in your head by the brain, which really is neither here nor there at all, because the brain has no smarts. It's not intelligent. It's just a machine to create thoughts and creates all kinds of it. And in order for you to be sure that nothing happens to you, you create all these negative scenarios and you run through them, because you think if you think of something negative, then something negative would not happen because I know about it. That's a game that we all play to create that psychological security, which is really never attainable. It's just waste your time and puts you in different mood, negative mood. I hope that's helpful to you. Ed. Now, before I go on, as you can see, we address things on this channel. It's not a teaser. You ask a question, I go all out, do my best to answer it as best as I can. So as you can see, the channel is not focused on just a little bit to entice you to come and make an appointment with me or whatnot. For that reason, I dare to ask you guys to promote the channel. Talk about the channel on your social media, on your wherever it is that is possible for you, chat lines or whatever, however you communicate. Because this channel, as I've heard it from hundreds and hundreds of you yourselves through email, through comments, that its content is very genuinely thought through and is very helpful, and it's second to none. I've heard that many, many times. If it's true, the bloody hell, get off your asses and just promote this, because YouTube doesn't do that, and I don't know how to do it. If you want it to continue, well, you know, the channel needs to be having more subscribers in order to be viable economically, and also, you know, motivates the fact that we're doing something good for people. People can enjoy it because it can reach to people rather than simply growing with the speed of a snail. So having said that, I hope that you guys will not forget and promote the channel however you can. Subscribe on my channel, visit my channel, and go through the videos that you might be interested in. mind@seekstruth.com, making it one step away to talk to me one-on-one on Skype and discuss what's concerning you. I'll talk to you soon.